Hello everyone, welcome to another lab. In this lab, we are going to troubleshoot a boot issue. Here is the scenario. You work at a computer repair store. A customer has brought in a computer for repair. It has the following specification. Intel i7-960 processor, 16 gigabyte of DDR4 memory, 3 SATA hard drive, one with the operating system installed, and the others for storing data. A single SATA optical or DVD drive. You replace the power supply in the computer, and now the computer will not boot. In this lab, your task is to diagnose and correct the problem with the system. You will know that you are successfully corrected all the problem when the computer successfully boot to Windows. In this scenario, all the problem are things that could occur when replacing a power supply. Before we go to solve this lab, let's identify which area that we have to focus on. The first thing we start with what information is given for us, especially with the specification of the computer. Also, we have to ask the question, is that really matter with what we are going to do or how we are approaching this problem? If we start with the type of computer, which is Intel i7, which is 960 processor, that might not give us any clue what we are going to do. Also, 16 gigabyte of DDR memory, that might be the same thing. Why I say that? If you read down here, it said in this scenario, all the problem are things that could occur when replacing a power supply, which means very much what the hint that already given for us is that the issue is very much related to the power supply, not really something else. So that's the way you can able to approach. If you stuck with thinking about all this information, it might be not the problem because that's not what the problem is state. But up here, since all these need the power supply, we have to concern all about these three drivers because as already mentioned, we replace power supply in the computer and now the computer is not power on, which means there should be something missed. What give us the hint again that we consider when we successfully solve the problem that computer is actually turned on. So that means everything we do is just focus on power supply or anything that related to the power. So how we approach this lab? The first thing every time when the issue is about the power supply, what I start with the hardware itself, which including the cables that connect to the computer to make sure it is correctly connected or not. So let's start with the back of computer, turn on the computer, make sure we turn back the computer, or first place, why we not try the computers to see like, is that really, that's the issue? So let's try. As we see, the computer is failed to power on. So that is true. So we have to go back, turn it back, and I want to make sure if this computer is actually already connected to the the power which is come from wall. Because as I said, we have to focus on this area because this area is like, as you see, we have 3 SATA hard drive, which is one for operating system installed, and the other one is for storage. So we have to make sure that all this drive is connected correctly. What that means. The first thing is that SATA should be connected from hard drive to motherboard. That's the first thing that we have to check. Second, we have to make sure that this hard drive is powered, which means the connection from power supply to the hard drive. That's the first thing that you have to test. As we see here, we already have connection, which is connected down here with the SATA cables wall outlet. So I click on that. As you see, this is already connected. Also, I want to check for with monitor, which actually we already see that the monitor display, that means it's already connected. So as we see that, also how we know if the computer is actually connected at the same time, it might, even though the computer is power on, if it's not actually connected to the monitor, we cannot able to see that. I think that's also something that I try to check, or I want to see any troubleshoot. So how I know? I just click on here to see if this monitor is actually connected to this computer. As you see, it's already connected by using DVI-D to the DVI-D cable. That is also something that I check if the issue is the computer is not power on. But we already received the error signals. As we know, that's not the case at all. So because of that, there's no issue with monitor. So that's not the case anymore. So what the problem is, it should be the computer itself, or there's something going on in the motherboard. So we have to go inside there. So I want to start with, first of all, just general observation. What I can see. Okay. So the first thing that I see down here is that, as you see, we have a different drive. Also, there's power supply here. So this one is connected, this one is connected. So you see, this one is also connected. But right here, we cannot able to see the power supply connect to one drive because we have 3, all that 3 should be run. So that's the first problem that I see right here. So in order to solve that, we have to click on power supply, looking for this power of the SATA connector, which is one of this. I think maybe that's the only one we have. As we see, the other one is already connected, most of it. So we can grab this and then connect that right here. So that is the first thing that I want to check. But again, even though the SATA is already connected over here, I want to make sure all the SATA is actually connected to motherboard as well. So how we check? Connect on the first one, as you see, is already connected down here. Click on the second one, as we see, it's already connected down here. Click on the other one. It's not connected, as it wasn't power on, but just once I connect to the hard drive, but it wasn't actually connected to the motherboard. So what we have to do to connect the other side to motherboard as well. So that is one thing that I have to make sure everything that related to one drive, it should be connected correctly. I think that is all for that. The first 3 SATA, the power supply, and then the right cables is already connected. The single SATA optical drive, that is also something that we have to check for that in order to get to there. we have to click here and go to drive base, and then we can see that everything from here is connected. I haven't seen any issue here. So there's the power supply, it's right there, it's connected. So that is one thing that we already confirmed, there's no issue there. But the other thing, when I click on mother as power supply, the other thing that we have to investigate, not only the drivers, all the other part of motherboard should be powered on. So when we click on this, what else that's already connected? The only thing that I see right here is that the main power supply, which is 24 pin, is actually already connected to the motherboard, but I haven't seen anything else. I haven't seen anything else that actually connected. So that is something we also have to investigate. As you see right here, the first one even, we can able to see clearly is that the power supply for 8-pin CPU is not connected. So that is the first thing that come to my attention. So I have to connect that. At least we have to make sure this thing should be correctly done. So the other area that we have to check is PCIe. Usually if there's anything connected down here, we have to make sure that the power supply for that, but down here there's nothing connected, so that's not the case for now. And the other thing that I want to make sure is that is connected to the motherboard or connected to CPU. So as we see when we click on this one, VAN is already connected to this CPU. Also, it's already actually powered. So that's it's already connected right there. So that's something I have to make sure. I think with that, we are kind of have hope that this will be at least change something. So in order to check that before we go, we have to, before we decide to test, I also want to make sure that the power supply is actually on in order to go on. So I think it's right now and it's off, so I have to switch to the other side to make sure that's not going to be a case when we try to start up the computer. So with trying that all, I think from what the information given to us so far, because all these areas clear, as I said, the other specification is just for general information. I think we can try. So let's try to power on the computer and to see if that solves any problem. Here we go. The good sign is we not receive any error. Oh, here we go. It's loading. It's loading. Interesting. We are finally get into the operating system. I think that is it for this lab, but as we do all the time, let's score the lab to make sure we correctly done this lab appropriately. Right, as you see, we are successfully solved this issue with a score of 100%. If you wasn't subscribed to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel to make sure you receive notification for the future lab. See you next lab. Thank you.